Hey, hey everybody, namaste out there to all everybody's tuning in to our chanting session tonight. My name's Jiva and we're going to be doing some mantra chanting for you all. I think many of you tuning in would have done this before. We're going to sing some yoga mantras and, as you're doing this at home, there's only a few of us here as usual because we're still in a lockdown situation. But at home, you can listen if you like or sing along if you like. However you want to join in, you can close your eyes and just listen and just let the sound of these beautiful yoga mantras flow into your ears. Let it wash over your mind and hopefully let it go even further down into the heart and try and experience. We don't need to try and experience, actually, just naturally experience the beautiful nature of these yoga mantras or the names of the Supreme. So I'm going to start. So basically, just to let you know what's going on for the next, we're going to be here for an hour, just over an hour and a half tonight, and we'll have myself. I'm going to lead some chanting for a little while. Then we'll have our friends Shannon, Jayatirtha Das and Rupa Das will come on after. Gopala Govinda Rama. Sorry. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Dana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Dana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Dana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Dana Mohana Gopala Gopala Govinda Rama Dana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Dana Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gopala, 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 Govinda, 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 Gopala, 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 Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so what we're going to do now, everybody, we're going to, as our usual practice, we're going to just speak a little bit about this meditation we do, and there's always some points to make to try and put this meditation into a little bit of context for people. And this week I was going to speak about, we've had different friends over the last few months, as you would know. I know not everybody tuning in is from Melbourne, but some of you are. And in this particular part of the world at the moment, there's been quite a bit of protests and uproar, a little bit of uproar in Melbourne regarding, the COVID situation. And some of our friends have, been a bit disturbed by it all, and, possibly there's a lot of confusion with regard to, the vaccine and so on and so forth and what to do. And there's a big political debate about it going on. It's been going on for quite a while. So I wanted to, just mention a few general points with regard to how people might want to relate to this or deal with what's going on. And luckily, I've got a quote from our teacher. Some of you know him, Jagadguru Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. As we always mention, we're not upstarts here. Just, we're following in a wonderful line of disciplic teaching, yoga teaching. So, we're not making anything up as we go. So I wanted to just read this quote. He was actually asked, he was asked about politics, and let me just bring it up. Okay, it's not, I guess it might take me a few minutes to read this, maybe 5 minutes, but see how we go. So he was asked, in general about politics, not specifically about, this any specific issue, but just in a general way. And this is how he replied, "What do you think about politics?" And Jagadguru, this is the question he was asked, and Jagadguru replies, "Let me tell you a very instructive story about a great yoga sage from long ago. Although he was just a child, he was already very enlightened. His father was a powerful king, always involved in politics and diplomacy, and he wanted his son to also get involved in politics. But his son expressed to his father, 'I'm not inclined towards politics because I feel friendship toward everyone. I want to feel friendship toward everyone, but in politics this is very difficult. Because in politics it is usually necessary to see one person as your opponent and another person as an ally or a friend. And conversely, people see you as their opponent or their ally or their friend, depending on your political position. I wish to be a friend to all and have others accept me as their friend and well-wisher. And then, so that's the end of what that person said. And then Jagat Guru goes on to comment on that, and he says, that's how I feel also. I want everybody, regardless of their politics, to be able to learn and to apply the science of yoga to their life. I want everyone to have the opportunity to follow the path of yoga, regardless of their political viewpoints or alliances. If I get involved in politics, then automatically I will be denying many people the opportunity to accept the gift of yoga and apply it in their lives. So although some people may feel comfortable trying to work for the welfare of others in the arena of politics, serving in that way is not my calling. It is just like some people feel very comfortable being involved in business endeavours. That is also not my calling. Everybody works and tries to serve in different ways, and my humble attempt is to serve as a teacher. I do not consider being a teacher superior to other occupations, or that it somehow makes me better than other people who try to serve in some other way, but it is an occupation that comes naturally to me. So that was my teacher's statement regarding political endeavours. So it's important to note, that he wasn't saying politics, getting involved in politics is necessarily bad, or business or anything else. Each of us has our own inclinations. Each one of us is an individual, and we apply yoga just according to our own tendencies. So in his particular case, he's saying, I'm not that interested in politics because, I don't want to get involved in this wrangling and arguing with people because, that makes it very difficult for him then to have them listen to what he's going to say about what is an important matter of spiritual life. So, for myself, I don't know very much, but I'm inclined to feel the same way. I'm feeling inclined to follow in the footsteps of my teacher. I'm naturally feeling a little bit like that. But it's not a black or white thing. Sometimes, we can dabble a little bit in politics, or we might dabble a little bit in business, even though our main focus might be something else, and so on. So there's no black and white here, but his statement is very interesting to note. We don't need to, we need to just find where ourselves as individuals, are more inclined, what we're inclined to get involved in. And, for many of us, I've actually got some friends. I know people following this path of yoga who are actually actively involved in politics. There's not many of them, but it can happen. But for many others, and especially if you're in a position to have some influence, then, by all means, it can be a good thing. But for others, for most people, like for myself, I don't have any political influence, and so I'm more inclined to just focus on, trying to communicate yoga teaching and yoga knowledge to people, especially because, we have to understand that what you can do in terms of politics is very limited in a sense. This is a big consideration. We all know that political wrangling, there's no end to it, basically. There's always going to be opponents, there's always going to be disagreements. That's just the nature of it in this material world. There's always change going on. There's so many. It's a very difficult world to get involved in. And as you know, anybody who knows anything about yoga, we're trying to basically point people in a completely different direction altogether, regardless of what's going on in the material world, politically or otherwise. Where the whole point of yoga teaching is to communicate the fact that we're spiritual in nature, We're eternal in nature, and we should. The real goal of life is to try and tune into our spiritual nature more and more, our connection with God, and pass this way of life onto others. Let other people know about this way of life as well. So this is our main goal of any student of yoga, and student of yoga we mean teacher as well. Those who are students naturally become teachers at some point. A sincere student will become a teacher. So, just trying to give a little bit of context. We're not really trying to tell people what to do here, just discussing the situation. And, just in connection with that, I wanted to give, just a couple of examples of how some of the great spiritual teachers in the past have dealt with this problem or with this issue of, do I get involved in politics or do I not? Or to what degree? Again, because we take advice from, our spiritual teacher, but we also take advice from the great spiritual masters of olden times. And there's two examples I wanted to give. One was Jesus Christ, and the other one was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so going to Jesus first, because he was earlier, as we all know, he was born into, or he lived in that time of, the Roman occupation of Palestine, or Judea as it was then called. So the Jewish people were there, or the Hebrews as they were called. They lived under the Roman occupation. These people were, dictating everything. It was a very authoritarian rule that they lived under. And many of the people were, getting involved politically. They were behind the scenes. They were trying to figure out how to get rid of the Romans politically. These people have taken over our country. But if we look at Jesus himself, he was not doing that. He was just, okay, someone's got to rule the place. It's the Romans. And at that time anyway, later it changed, but at that time, the Romans didn't really interfere with the spiritual practices of the Hebrews at that time. They were left alone to just do whatever they wanted to do. So that's the position of Jesus. Understood that, and again, he was not involved politically at all. He simply went about, the country teaching people the same thing that we're now teaching. Yoga teaching, love for God, love for the Supreme Person. That's all he was. He wasn't agitating to try and get rid of the Romans' rule and so on and so forth. He wasn't doing that. And he was, actually, there's one case where he was basically being, they were trying to test him or get him to get involved. And, some of you would know it, the incident where everybody had to pay tax to the Romans. And so they asked Jesus, they were basically trying to get him to say whether they should pay taxes or not, or whether they should rebel. Do we have to pay taxes to the Romans, or should we not? And he very famously, asked the person who was asking the question, show me the coin, show me one of the coins. And he showed him the coin, and the coin had a image of Caesar on the coin, and he said, whose image is on this coin? He said, Caesar. And Jesus replied, well, so give to Caesar what's Caesar's and give to God what is God's. So, different people have commented on this situation. They give their interpretations of it, but it's generally accepted, and it's pretty much self-evident that, he was making a distinction between material life and spiritual life, in a sense. He was saying, you're here, pay your taxes. You're paying the taxes to the Romans. If it was somebody else ruling, you'd be paying taxes to them. Everybody pays taxes, kind of thing. And he's saying, but so do that, live according to the situation, but, you know, your main focus should be on your spiritual life. Give to, you know, pay your dues in a sense. So the main point of this story is, you know, don't want to go on and on about it too much, but it's kind of obvious that, you know, he wasn't into necessarily political rebellion or anything like that. He was just, because in the material world, in the material situation, like we were saying before, there's always going to be political wrangling. There's always going to be somebody to want to rule other people. And the main thing was, and this was the unique thing about the Roman rule, they might have been oppressive in different ways, but they weren't oppressive in the sense that they prevented the Jewish people from engaging in their spiritual practices. That's the main point. Perhaps if they were preventing in that way, we might have seen a different Jesus. But that wasn't the case. In fact, his big arguments and his big gripes, so to speak, was with the hypocrite religionists of his own people. He wasn't fighting the Romans. He wasn't fighting the political power. He was fighting religious hypocrisy. But anyway, so we'll leave it at that. But that's the main point I wanted to make, that so long as we're left alone, you know, there's you know, people are talking these days, there's a lot of political talk about authoritarianism and so on, and it's creeping in. People are losing their freedoms and so on. And from what I can see, it's actually true to a large extent. It seems to be happening to a large extent. And so we may wonder, well, at what point do we want to get involved? Again, that's up to every individual. You know, for myself, I'm basically, you know, I've heard these things from my teacher and I learned from the example of Jesus. Well, you know, we don't, you know, so long as we're left, for myself, I can say, as long as I'm free to engage in, you know, our spiritual practices like we are now, then basically I'm kind of, you know, not fully, but to a large degree, I'm okay with that. If the government suddenly starts saying, no, you can't do chanting anymore, you know, they start banning it or whatever, then, you know, you might see me getting involved in some kind of... But other than that, you know, no, not for myself. Others, again, you know, sometimes people want to get involved. The other example is Chaitanya. He was in our disciplic succession, very important personality in our disciplic succession, and he was the same. At the time of Chaitanya, in the province where he was, the Hindus were under the rule of the Muslim government. The Muslims were in charge of everything. And in some part, and it's true all over India, but in some parts it was worse than others. Some Muslim governors were really dictatorial and very heavy. Others were a little bit softer. But in any case, you know, it was the same thing going on. I'm mentioning this because this is where I take my personal guidance from. So Chaitanya was, again, he wasn't making political problems. He was, oh, we've got to get rid of the Muslim emperor. You know, we're Hindus. We've got to, you know, these people are da-da-da. No, he wasn't. Okay, you guys are running the place. Can we go to our temple and can we engage in our spiritual practices? Yeah, you can. But some of you would know the story of how this particular, what's his name? He was some magistrate or some person of authority in the province where Chaitanya lived. He did interfere. He did interfere. He tried to prevent, you know, the chanting we do, kirtan. He tried to prevent it, and he made a law that, no, you people cannot do this chanting meditation practice. He basically banned it. And so what did Chaitanya do? As some of you know the story, he organised a revolution. Basically, he organised all these people to come in protest outside the governor's house. Anyway, it's a long story, but basically, you know, the governor became afraid of this huge presence of opposition, and he and he came out, eventually came out and he sat down, he talked with Chaitanya, and he was basically, the end of the story is he was convinced to, he relented, and he said, yes, from now on you can do chanting and so on. He passed a law, he reversed his previous law and he made it so, yes, you can do chanting, and he made it a rule that even his descendants, the people who were to follow him, they would also abide by this, that they would not prevent Chaitanya and his followers for engaging in this spiritual practice of meditation. But again, he wasn't rebelling against anything other than this point of, are we going to be allowed to engage in our spiritual practices? Because from the point of view this is the main thing. This is the all-important thing. Worldly politics will, ebb and it'll go backwards and forwards one way or another. We've all seen it. We're all, commonly known that so many politicians from both sides of politics are often corrupt in one way or another. They're just interested in power. They're not really interested in the welfare of the people. But if you can have a government that actually is allowing people to continue with their spiritual practices without interfering with it, you can know that, well, they're not that bad. Because in some places in the world, this is not allowed. The whole period of the Soviet Union, for example, many years the church was driven underground. They couldn't openly practice their religion. I won't name the other places because I don't know them all, but I believe some places like I don't know. Some of you would know better which places freedom of religion is allowed and where it's not allowed. So fortunately for now, in Australia at least, it's allowed, and so who knows how things might go in the future if this authoritarian creep may go. So, some people may go, well, let's, if things are getting very authoritarian, why don't we just stop it now before it gets to this other thing? So these are all, complicated questions, and different individuals can decide, what they want to do or how they want to, relate to all this and interact with all this. But again, myself and so many of us here, we're disciples of our spiritual teacher, and again, though, he has some of his disciples are involved in politics, but probably, the majority not. So there's no black or white answer here. We go according to our conscience and how we feel we can, serve this mission. Actually, this place we have here, this Gokula house we call it, it's just one little, place, like a little sanctuary we have where from where we try to promote yoga teachings. And we speak on this a lot, how this is what's really needed. This is what's really needed, not necessarily political perfection, because it's just not going to happen in this material world. You're not going to find political perfection here. So, according to who we are, we may want to get involved to some extent, or maybe not. Okay, so I'll leave it at that, and I hope that, although I haven't really said anything about what people should do, and that's purposely I haven't done that, but just, discussing just some of the, some of the considerations that, people might want to take into account. And so I hope that was of some benefit in that way. So I'm just going to just do a short little chant now before then Shannon's going to come on. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so that's it from me. Namaste, everybody. I hope you're having a good time with our little meeting here tonight, and now we're going to have Shannon's coming on.
Namaste. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Sita Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine
Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Sita Swarupananda
Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna
Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Vasudeva Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare. I think that's it. So, namaste.
Haribol, everyone. Namaste. Thanks, Shannon. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutali Shrimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namini
Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Iti Namine
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Haribol Nitaigo, Nitaigo, Haribol, Haribol, Nitaigo, Nitaigo, Haribol, Haribol, Nitaigo, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol. Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Nitai Go, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Haribol Nitai Go, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Haribol Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Haribol, Nitai Go, Nitai Go, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinatha Madana, Mohana. Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinatha Madana, Mohana. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinatha Madana, Mohana. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinatha Madana, Mohana. Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda, Gopinatha Madana Mohana.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana Mohana.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan Shri Govinda, Gopinatha Madana Mohana.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna, Jaya Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinatha, Madana
Okay, thank you. Namaste, everyone. That's me. Now we have Ripidas coming on. Thank you.
Hey Bo and Namaste. Cool. So, yep, time to have a final chant, final tune for this kirtan. So, Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nityananda, Haribo, Chaitanya, Haribo.
Nityananda, Haribo, Chaitanya, Haribo.
Nityananda, Haribo, Chaitanya, Haribo.
Nityananda, Haribo, Chaitanya, Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Cool. Thank you again for joining us. Yeah, it's always amazing to get together like this, even though we're so far away. So yeah, I have another kirtan on Friday and each Sunday. And in between, you can check out asmy.tv for lots of kirtan, some guided relaxation, or a yoga class to stretch to. So thank you, and come again soon. Namaste.